So you found it, the diamond in the rough, an old forgotten hotel, maybe a little run down, but you've got the vision. You see luxury apartments, or maybe just Class B apartments and happy tenants and a steady cash flow. It's the real estate dream, right? But what if I told you that for a shocking number of investors, that dream quickly turns into a financial nightmare, bleeding money and facing endless soul crushing delays? You've probably seen the headlines or heard whispers that a high percentage of these conversion projects actually fail. And it's almost never for the reasons that you think. It's not about paint colors or lobby furniture. It's about the hidden traps that are buried in city codes, crumbling concrete, and the fine print of historic documents or the mismanagement of funds, even the improper selection of general contractors. I'm Andrew LeBaron, and after overseeing many of these adaptive reuse projects, I've seen firsthand how a few critical mistakes can turn a golden opportunity, like a hotel conversion, into an absolute money pit. Today, I'm going to walk you through the 5 biggest mistakes to avoid in hotel conversions. This is the insider knowledge that protects you from the costly errors that less informed investors make. Let's make sure your dream becomes a reality, not a cautionary tale. Mistake number 1, ignoring the zoning and entitlement nightmare. And this one is a project killer. Assuming that changing a building's use is just a matter of some simple paperwork it could destroy the whole project. You see a hotel which houses people overnight, right? You think turning it into apartments for people to live long term, it's an easy jump. Can't be much, right? Got to add a kitchen. That assumption can derail your project before you even pick up a hammer. Hotels are usually zoned for commercial use, while apartments need residential zoning. And spoiler alert, they're not interchangeable. Okay. In many cities, the process to rezone a property can take months or even years of what feels like a near Herculean lobbying. A single objection from a neighborhood board or a local official can torpedo the entire project, leaving you with a building you can't legally touch. On top of that, even if you find a hotel in a residential or mixed use zone where conversions are allowed, you'll face a maze of regulations. Cities often have very specific rules, like the building needing to be operational before a certain date or being proven to be no longer economically viable as a hotel. They usually call this highest and best use, and that can be debatable sometimes. Some places like New York have passed laws to streamline this, but they often come with their own bureaucratic hurdles, like requiring approvals from housing departments and mandating affordable housing units. The fix here is extreme due diligence. Before you even think about making an offer, become an expert on the local zoning code. Get in front of the city planning department early. Understand the exact process, timeline, and political climate. They're willing to talk to you without having to own the property. Remember, you're just collecting data. Don't just ask if it's possible. Ask what the common roadblocks are in projects like these. Talk to a local land use attorney. Treating zoning as anything less than the number one obstacle is like setting sail without checking the four storms. It's not a risk, it's a guarantee for failure. Mistake number 2, underestimating the building's true condition. So you've navigated the zoning maze. Now you have to face the building itself. A lot of investors fall in love with the charm of an old hotel, and I'm included in that bucket. But they wildly underestimate what's hiding behind the drywall. It's like trying to fit a brand new sports car engine into a vintage car body. The frame just might not handle it. Older buildings come with a whole host of potential issues. They might have bones, but they were not built to modern residential standards. Hotel building codes are different from those permanent homes. A conversion can trigger a full scale upgrade to meet today's codes for fire safety, seismic stability, and especially the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA. This can mean expensive changes like widening hallways, retrofitting elevators, and adding ramps. But the real budget killers, the MEP systems, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. A hotel's plumbing is set up for dozens of small identical bathrooms. Apartments need full kitchens, laundry hookups, and much more robust water and waste lines. Retrofitting this into a concrete and steel structure is incredibly invasive and expensive. It's even worse if it's all wood and it's extremely old. You're not just running new pipe, you might be drilling through concrete floors and re-engineering the building's entire core. You don't want to do that. That's expensive. What looks like a simple renovation can turn into a full gut rehab, sending your costs through the roof, and you're just rebuilding a new building. probably better just to knock it down and rebuild. Performing a detailed structural assessment is vital to uncover and address these risks, ensuring the building is safe for an investment. To avoid this, you have to get an exhaustive feasibility study from engineers who specialize in adaptive reuse. Get invasive. Look behind walls and above ceilings. Your budget needs a hefty contingency fund. Think 15 to 20%. I know that's larger than most construction projects, usually it's 10, but you got to go big because this is adaptive reuse. Set aside enough for those nasty structural and MEP surprises. If you don't, the building will write a new and much higher budget for you. Mistake number 3, neglecting historic preservation rules. This only pertains to those who are taking older historic hotels and motels in inner cities that are protected by the historic department. If your hotel has a historic designation, you might see that as a great marketing angle, but in development, historic is a legal term with a very expensive consequence. Ignoring the rules of historic preservation commissions is a fast track to huge fines and project killing delays. Many historic buildings are protected by rules that dictate everything from the type of windows you can install to the mortar mix you use on the brickwork. You may want modern, energy efficient windows, but the preservation board could require you to restore the pricey single pane originals. You might plan to create open concept layouts, only to find out that interior walls are character defining features that have to stay. Getting approval from the local historic commission isn't a suggestion, it's a non negotiable requirement. They will scrutinize your plans to make sure they respect the building's original character. This can add months to your timeline and force costly redesigns. This could quadruple your budget, honestly. And while you can get historic tax credits, maybe some grants, they require you to follow these rules to the letter. One unapproved change could make you ineligible, gutting a key part of your financing. The smart play is to bring a historic preservation consultant onto your team from day one. Before you even sketch a floor plan, you need to know exactly what's protected and what's not. Work with the preservation authorities, not against them. Frame your project as a respectful revitalization. By treating preservation as a partnership, you could turn that historic designation into a real asset instead of a massive liability. Number 4, building your budget on flawed projections. This one's tough. Real estate is a numbers game, but in hotel conversions, many investors are playing with a fantasy rulebook. The 4th major mistake is poor financial planning, and usually it's born from underestimating costs and overestimating returns. Been there, done that. One of the most common errors is getting a construction quote, but forgetting about all the soft costs, architectural plans, engineering reports, legal help, and permit fees, which add up fast. Investors also underestimate the cost of specialized labor for adaptive reuse or how quickly material prices can soar. Another huge oversight, underestimating the carrying costs. A hotel conversion isn't a quick flip. It could take a year, sometimes more. All the time, you're paying taxes, insurance, and loan interest with zero rental income. A delay of just a few months can easily add hundreds of thousands of dollars in unplanned expenses. Lenders will want to see a solid business plan that accounts for all of this, including a realistic timeline and contingency funds. Finally, investors often don't have a clear exit strategy. Are you selling the building right after completion, refinancing it into a long-term loan, or holding it for rental income? Each path has different financial needs and risks. One exit, like selling in a hot market, can be an absolute disaster if things change, and they most likely will. The solution is to build your financial model with a healthy dose of pessimism. Healthy and pessimism existing in the same sentence. Unheard of. Work with professionals to create a detailed pro forma that includes every expense you can think of, then add 10 to 20% contingency on top. Secure your financing early, develop multiple exit strategies, and know what it takes for each to work. A conservative, well-researched budget is your best defense against the financial bleeding that sinks so many of these projects. Mistake number 5, assembling the wrong team. The final mistake is thinking any good architect or contractor can handle a hotel conversion. This isn't another construction job. It's actually a very highly specialized field that requires a very specific type of expertise. An inexperienced team can lead to crippling delays, shoddy work, and constant headaches. A general architect might design beautiful new buildings, but they may not understand the quirks of adaptive reuse, like how to creatively use odd layouts or reinforce an old structure. A contractor who builds new houses will likely be unprepared for the nightmare of integrating modern plumbing and electrical systems into a 100-year-old commercial building. You need structural engineers who know historic materials, contractors who have navigated the conversion permitting process, and project managers who can see problems coming a mile away. Without an experienced team, guess who becomes the project manager, problem solver, and on site therapist? You. And that's a role you are not prepared for. The result is almost always a project that's over budget, behind schedule, and full of quality issues that will cost you even more to fix later. Your first investment needs to be in your people. Vet your professionals like your money depends on it, because it actually does. Ask to see their portfolio of completed adaptive reuse projects. This is non negotiable. Talk to their former clients, a team that's done this before, be your greatest asset. They will anticipate problems you don't even know existed before you get started, and they'll guide your project to a profitable conclusion. An experienced team isn't a cost, it's an investment in avoiding financial disaster. So, to recap, the 5 hidden pitfalls that can turn your hotel conversion into a nightmare are ignoring zoning, underestimating the building's condition, neglecting historic rules, using flawed financial projections, and hiring the wrong team. Essentially, hiring the wrong team could be your ultimate downfall. Hiring the right people could be the one thing that turns everything around and ensures an awesome project from start to finish. Each of these mistakes is completely avoidable with the right knowledge and prep work. A hotel conversion is one of the toughest, but also one of the most rewarding projects in real estate. It's about breathing new life into forgotten buildings and creating something of lasting value. Avoiding these 5 pitfalls is the difference between a lucrative investment and a financial catastrophe. The path is complex, but it's totally navigable. It just requires more than a vision. It demands diligence, expertise, and respect for the process. To help you get started on the right foot, I put together a free feasibility checklist that covers the critical questions you need to ask yourself before you think about buying a property for conversion. You could download it at the link in the description below. And of course, if you found this information valuable, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because we're going to be diving deeper into the world of real estate development in future videos. Thanks for watching.